All right, everybody, welcome into the Auburn Live Modcast. Look at Jeffrey in the woods over there, man. Just look at him. Look at him.
Oh, I ain't got my bird dogs on today, boys.
Ready for some four wheelers to go zooming by there.
Is it warm out there?
Hell yeah, it's
out there?
hot. God
It's
dang.
hot.
It's 80
It's supposed to
degrees,
cool off
man.
next week, I thought.
I hope so.
What's up? How's everybody doing?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good.
You know what? After last weekend, it was such a Ole Miss was a big game. It was such a big recruiting weekend, dude. Maybe two. I'm ready for a Mississippi State style game.
How about a win to talk about? I'd enjoy
be
that.
awesome. When's the last time Auburn had a win we could talk about?
They haven't had one against Mississippi State the last 2 years. Yeah.
Who was the worst? Stanford was the last win, was it not?
Yeah, Sanford, which was 6
September.
weeks. You had 4 games in a bye week.
16th.
You're talking about 6 weeks, I guess, or 5. Well, 6 weeks. Yeah.
It's been a while. And it was all kind of. It's kind of. You think of that Georgia game, and it was like, oh man, there was a little bit of hope after that game, and it was just after the Cal game, after the A&M game, you saw Georgia at home. You almost beat Georgia at home. Yeah, and it's just steady downhill. It's ready to get back on that upward trajectory, and hopefully Auburn can do it this weekend. We certainly, as a group who runs a message board, absolutely want Auburn to win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Great day.
Need some good vibes, so everybody stops bitching about negative talk. That's what I need. Like they keep losing. What you want me to do?
They do the same thing about positive talk too, Justin. You just I'm learning to take it myself. It's hard.
So Zach says
y'all are way ahead of me on that.
Hell, I'm gonna be fair. I'm gonna be fair all the way. I don't care. I don't care what the criticism is. I'm gonna be fair.
Period. I was reading what Zach said. He said the line is Auburn minus 6.5. Auburn favored by almost a touchdown at home, so they expect it to be a pretty close game. But yeah, if Auburn wins, it'll be we couldn't even cover the spread against Mississippi State.
Were there any prize picks?
No prospects, but let's talk about it, man.
Okay.
I had a couple of people. I really did have a couple of people asking me like, how did I get signed up? And I think I on the show at one point I said something about a web address, and I was absolutely wrong. It is an app, man. Go to Prospects, get downloaded, create you an account. Use the promo code War Eagle, all caps, one word, and they will you'll receive 100% instant deposit match up to $100. So if you deposit $100, they'll give you $100. If you deposit $50, they'll give you $50. Go to Prospects, go to the promo code, hit War Eagle, all caps, one word. They will do that to you. If you're not familiar with Prize Picks, man, here's how it works: you pick 2 to 6 players, and they'll have all projections. You'll look at the projections. So, for instance, Robbie Ashford, rushing 37 yards against Mississippi State. You'll either choose more or less. You got a 50-50 shot with each projection. You pick 2 to 6 players, and if they go more or less, then their prospects possession, and you pick it correctly, you can win up to 25 times your money on any entry. In Alabama, Arkansas, but mostly Alabama, Auburn, Alabama, Arkansas, some other states, you've got to use combo squares. So it would be Robbie Ashford and Peyton Thorne will combine to score more or account for more than 2.5 touchdowns, and you choose more or less. So it's cool. It's not it's very simple. It's not very complex, and it's a skill-based game. It's a skill-based fantasy game. Cole and I know Justin as well, have had a lot of fun and a lot of luck in this app. So go to Prospects, man. Download that app. They don't have any college football picks up yet, man. We always record this show on Thursdays, and I think the college football projections usually come out on Friday. Sometimes they come out a little early on Thursday, but typically here lately they've been coming out on Fridays, or else we would be talking about some. So go to Prospects, use your promo code War Eagle, all caps, one word, get that 100% match, and let's talk about what you might do. Okay, y'all can use my hypothetical Prize Picks projection. Robbie Ashford, Peyton Thorne combine to account for more or less than 2.5 touchdowns against Mississippi State. That's throwing, that's rushing touchdowns. Peyton Thorne, Robbie Ashford combined 2.5 touchdowns versus Mississippi State. What you taking, Justin?
More. I'd go more. More. I'm optimistic about Saturday. I think they'll be more aggressive, and I hope that leads to some more results. So I would go over. I think 3. If you said 3.5, I would think a lot harder. But
Well, I was thinking Jarquez and or Damari, Jeremiah Cobb. I think Auburn's going to rush for 2 touchdowns. Okay, so how many are you going to score? 4?
Yeah.
That's pushing it. We're talking about Mississippi State, who's got a decent defense, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
They held Arkansas in check pretty much.
They're not bad. They're active.
So,
yeah, that's fair. A couple of short yardage things could.
It looks like Las Vegas thinks it's going to be 26-20. I'm sorry, 41.5 is the over-under. So 21-14, 20-14, which will be 34. Y'all help me out with on math here. 24-17. There you go, 24-17.
Yeah, that's it.
That sounds about right.
So they've got Auburn scoring 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
That sounds about right in this game. I mean, neither offense is.
That's why I was thinking I might go less if Peyton Thorne and Robbie Ashford's projection were 2.5. Because if Jarquez runs one in, then they can't account for more than 2 if, in fact, they do score what Las Vegas thinks they will. Interesting dynamic there.
This is a week where I don't want to put the announcer's curse on it, but this is the week where you got a really good shot to get a defensive touchdown or get a turnover that gets you in the red zone, because we're thinking Mike Wright's going to be the quarterback instead of Will Rogers, which they haven't completely ruled Will Rogers out, but he was out last week and now he's questionable for this week. Mike Wright, transfer from Vandy, kind of a running threat, a little bit of both.
Good athlete.
Yeah, he's not bad, actually. And honestly, I don't know. Would you rather face a true passer or would you rather face more of a dual threat guy if you're Auburn's defense? I don't know. They're not having much success with either. So, then again, totally different kind of offense they're facing this week instead of the top 3 offenses in the SEC. I will give Hugh Freeze that. They did just face the top 3 in the SEC, which, as you know, if you follow recruiting, are usually the top 3 in the country or top 10. So,
by the way, you said announcer's curse. You know who the analyst is for this game on SEC Network?
Don't say Beth Mowens.
No, Derek Mason.
Really?
Oh,
Derek Mason's doing a little SEC Network work, and he's the color analyst for this game.
Wow.
Probably a good thing Brian Harsin in on the sideline.
Yeah, I was going to say Derek Mason should be viewed as a friend of the family for Auburn folks.
Yeah.
He was anti-Harsin for all those listening, and most Auburn fans are anti-Harsin.
Listen, can I just tell a quick Derek Mason story, like really quick? Because it's
absolutely
funny. Best Derek Mason story while he was with Harsin I heard. I feel like I can tell this now. And I think I said it on the board, but I'm going to tell it again anyway because it's hilarious. They're in a meeting, middle of 21. They're trying to figure out what's going on. How do we right the ship? How do we whatever? And Brian Harsin's in the office, and he's like, "What? Any suggestions? What do we need to do? Do we need to give the guys more books to read? Like, are there anybody got any good book suggestions that we can get them? Whatever." Derek Mason at this point is fed up. Okay, so Harsin asked for book suggestions in the meeting. Derek Mason pipes up and goes, "Well, I read the Bible." So he's like, "I'd recommend the Bible." Like, just in a real, like, kind of just pissed off, like, I've had enough, like, how many books you want to read? Like, that's my book. You want to read that book? And from what I understand, it was just like awkward silence. Like, everybody's like, okay. All right, Derek Mason. Derek Mason suggests the Bible. It was almost like
searching for books to read. Do you think college athletes have time to read a book?
Yeah, Harsin wanted him to. I don't know. No. Like in between game plans, also read this book on
homework projects
or whatever.
Study hall.
The meetings now are probably more like, "What are you doing here? You're supposed to call a recruit at this time today."
I don't know. You asked Cole about the quarterback situation for Mississippi State. I I don't know that it matters. I mean, Auburn's defense is playing pretty well. Surprisingly, we all think Auburn's defense has been decent against the run. You realize they're 13th in the league in rushing defense, which is it's kind of catching up to them. They Ole Miss big game, LSU big game, couple of 200-yard plus rushing games. A&M
had a big game.
Yeah, A&M they need so that's kind of catching up to them a little bit. Pass defense is still pretty decent. So I don't know, but Will Rogers is just nightmares. Now it's not Mike Leach in that offense like it was 2 years ago, but so I guess I'd rather have a running quarterback than Will Rogers because Rogers is just experienced and
it just seems like Rogers. It seems like Rogers would pick the defense apart a little bit, knowing what he's capable of. I don't know if Mike Wright's capable of that. Now he might hurt you with your legs, but I just don't think he's going to sit there and just bam, bam, bam over and over on your secondary. I think you got a better shot with him.
Yeah, I would agree.
I think the great thing about this game, in my opinion, is perfect timing for everyone that covers Auburn or cheers for Auburn, in that it's all about the offense on Saturday. I feel like, this is everybody kind of accepts the defense for what it is. Great turnover margin, bend but don't break, decent enough to win, or it has been in most of the time. Here we are. What's this? 8 games into the schedule?
Yeah, game 8.
No idea what the hell's going on offense. Nobody has any idea what's going on.
Let me ask y'all this about the offense,
including the players on the team.
Right? Nobody.
Justin and I have talked about the offense ad nauseum and all the problems.
I'm going to shut up, or I'm going to get real negative. I'm going to let you talk.
No, you watch that negativity around me, son. No. But for real, on the other side of this, I'm just curious what y'all think, and I don't know what to think, honestly. I'm asking y'all the question. How much has this game plan actually helped Auburn? I know they're not winning, but the point you just made, Justin, with the rush defense being so bad, statistically, does the game plan they're running actually help you stay in these games better? I'm just curious what y'all think on that.
Probably, man. Listen, he knows more than I do. So he's doing it for a reason. I guess, and I was debating over lunch today, this whole thing, Cole, I think you brought it up first a couple of weeks ago, was, they don't tempo. They're going slow as hell on offense. And I jokingly said when you first brought it up, man, if he wants to help the defense out, he ought to try getting a first down. It's almost like his offense right now is, we're going to punt. We're going to fail on this series, and we're going to punt. Let's see how much time we can take before we have to punt, so that our defense can have that much more. Like it's almost like they're not even trying hard on offense. They're trying harder to take more time off the clock than they are to get a first down. And that was my counter was, man, if you want to take more time off the clock, if you want to give your defense more time to rest, try to get a first down. Don't run it up the middle for 3 plays, run the play clock down, pick up a first down. But that's the counter of what he's trying to do, which is take time off the clock, which is Cole's strategy to win games. And it almost worked against Georgia. Absolutely, no question about it. But it's just like, I want to see this offense, and what better time than now, this Saturday against a Mississippi State defense, a team that you should beat at home, than to turn the offense loose. Let's just see. Turn it loose. Let me see some pace. Let me see a first down with some hurry up. We saw Ole Miss do it last week, and I was like, oh, well, I remember this. Gus's teams were great at that. You picked up a first down, dude. They were ready to snap the ball right then. The defense had no time to change. If it was third and whatever, they picked up a first down. They were on the ball, ready to go. Had a play call. I would like to see Auburn try harder on offense instead of trying hard to not screw it up for the defense. I'd like to see the offense try to succeed for itself. Whatever they can do, whatever it takes. If pace, if throwing the football, I don't care. I want to see the offense try its hardest and do what it does, whatever it takes to get a first down. That's what I want to see.
And I'm just presenting, Justin, a new question that I haven't heard anywhere talked about at all, because it's the offense. The offense is the center of everything right now. But how limited is the defense? I mean, are they really that limited? Is it above our heads how limited they are, or how much are the limitations on defense hurting the offense and the offensive game planning, play calling? That's what I want to know now, as I'm trying to figure this out still.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're somewhat limited. I mean, if you go beyond Marcus Harris, you got an issue. Like Marcus Harris has been awesome. You go beyond him, and Lawrence Johnson's okay. Like to me, the depth specifically on the defensive line is an issue. Like if that defense starts racking up 70 plus plays, and you're seeing a lot of Zacchaeus Walker and Lawrence Johnson and Garrison Walker and stuff like that, I think you're going to have an issue. It's a double-edged sword. I mean,
It is.
keep it close. I think the game plan worked against Georgia, and it worked against Ole Miss to some degree. Like those games were close, but do you actually give yourself? Here's the question: is keeping it close? Do you think Auburn had a real shot to win, or did they just keep it close? I think Georgia was tied going into the fourth quarter. You had an opportunity there. Ole Miss, that game was 28-14. You scored a late touchdown. It's a double-edged sword. I just think when you slow it down, he talks about that margin of error, and man, that you slow it down, you take tempo away, and that margin of error becomes minuscule. I mean, it just becomes, because you just take one of your advantages away. But here's the thing: if he wants to rotate quarterbacks, how are you going to run tempo? Unless the only thing he could potentially do is when Peyton gets in there, we're gonna run tempo during Peyton's series. If he picks up a first down, we're going. Robbie's series, do what you want. If you want to back it off on his stuff, back it off. So maybe there's some kind of compromise where if you're going to rotate him, maybe let Peyton run some tempo, because I firmly believe Peyton is at his best when he's running tempo and there's some urgency. I think he's not anywhere close to at his best when he has to sort of operate in a slow manner. I think that takes away his improvisation and athletic ability, and I just think that. So I don't know. Maybe there's a compromise between running a little bit tempo with Peyton, letting Robbie slow things down. But if you're going to rotate quarterbacks, it's hard for me to think they can go run tempo. Like my issue 1 is quarterback rotation. My issue 2 is probably tempo beyond that.
And they had Mosiah Nasili-Kite in the Georgia game, right?
Yeah, for a lot of it. I don't remember when he got hurt.
I am telling y'all, Justin, you're talking about the negativity or whatever. The thing that people clown me for is putting my stamp on somebody like Mosiah Nasili-Kite when they've seen him on TV miss a tackle and go, well, he can't play. I'm just telling you right now, that dude changed the defense. He changed the line of scrimmage. And that's why Auburn had a better shot in the Georgia game. It's not because the offense was all that much better. This is the theory I'm working on here right now.
The theory you're working on. Well, and I would add to what you're saying. It's take into account first and second string. Take into account Kite and Falk, what they bring to the table. Then take into account Falk and Zacchaeus Walker, what they bring to the table. If you toss in the gap right there, like Kite's better than Falk. Falk's gonna get there. He's doing okay. But the gap between then Falk and Walker is probably pretty. The gap between Falk and Walker, I think, is bigger than Kite and Falk. But I could be wrong.
No, I agree with that.
You know what I was describing, I was thinking about Cole and Hugh Freeze for that matter. What I was describing is probably Hugh Freeze rebuttal to me would have been, that's how you lose to Mississippi State. You try to do that, and that's why I don't do that. That's why I'm keeping it. I'm slowing the game down, because we have a team that should be able to beat Mississippi State. So maybe that's why he's doing that. I guess it's a Mississippi State. Let me see what you can do. I think you can beat Mississippi State by making a couple of errors, whatever.
And I think that's a risk.
Exactly.
That's a danger. Like we've heard all this talk this week about, on paper, the schedule is going to get easier now. On paper, the schedule is going to get easier. We heard Hugh Freeze say on Monday, we need to be more balanced. We need to be more aggressive. He hinting at tempo being something that he wishes they could do, but maybe they're not ready to do, whatever. And I think there's a risk of getting out there against Mississippi State and going, all right, they're not as good offensively. Our defense should be, if our defense has to play 6 or 7 more snaps, they should be fine against State. Let's be more aggressive. But if you're not capable of doing that, and then it bites you in the butt, and yeah, you lose to Mississippi State. Like I think there is a risk of feeling like, all right, now we're not playing Georgia anymore. Let's go. And then you get careless, maybe.
Yep.
You're a little careless with what you're trying to do and try to make up for the past 3 games with a game against Mississippi State, and you freaking lose it.
Yep. That's why I was saying he knows more about this team than I do and how to win. I mean, he's doing this for a reason, and it's not because he thinks this is the second best way to win. He thinks this is the best way for Auburn to win. So whatever he does Saturday against Mississippi State, I get. I'm just being selfish when I say I want to see the offense turned loose. I'm being selfish. I admit that. And Hugh Freeze is going, dude, that's why you're not a coach.
Well,
He's
if
going,
he
me
could,
too.
if he could say that to the whole fan base, he would, but he doesn't. He takes it pretty gracefully. I have to give him credit. In the press conferences, I watch him closely. He knows what's coming after these awful offensive performances, which he's never really had before in his tenure as a coach. Even though this is kind of new territory to have to answer these questions about all these struggles, he just sort of shoulders the blame. He takes it as it comes because he knows, like, listen, he can't say this. He can't say, I know more than you. Like Ron Swanson on the show, you know, when he walks into Lowe's, guys like, can I help you with something? No, I know more than you. You know, that's not how he's going to be. He's not that guy. Yeah. He's going to take the blame. He's going to keep on moving forward. And he right now, he thinks his plan is the best plan for Auburn moving forward. And it's tough for Auburn fans because you know all of this about Freeze and what he's done before, and you're like, I want to see that today. I don't want to wait next year.
Exactly. Where's the 25 passing attempts going into the fourth quarter and not 6? You know, where's the explosive offense? Where are the chunk plays? Where are the efforts, the attempts to get chunk plays? They're not even there, dude. They're not even throwing the ball down the field hardly at all. And this is, and fans and myself are watching this going, this is not what I was expecting. Like, where is what we were expecting? Where is the reason why we thought you would be a good coach for Auburn? We thought you would be a good coach for Auburn because you light up the stat box and the scoreboard. And it's completely opposite of what we've seen. And he's going, I got it. Like, the reason we're not doing that is because we can't. In time, I'm recruiting to be able to do that, but we're not there yet.
No, the people who made the decision at Auburn, they go, oh my gosh, this hole we're in right now is dangerous if we don't get somebody who can get some players in here and fast.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, you know, I'd say he's answered the bill on that part.
Dude, Justin, I don't know how close you're following recruiting, but he's freaking killing it. He really is. And not just for 2024. I guess I'm looking at it. Well, we're privy to what I mean, where I expect them to finish top 10. You know, 8 to 10 to 12 at the absolute worst. But the 2025 class is first full year, dude. This guy's going all out, man. He is. It's unlike anything I've ever seen in the 5 staffs that I've covered here. Unlike anything I've ever seen.
Yeah, the best I saw was when Chiswick and Trooper and Looper first got to Auburn. Thick Pen, like that staff was insane.
But see, it was all the assistants. It was elite recruiter on the staff, and Hugh has taken these guys mostly from Liberty, Zach, Cadillac. I'm trying to think. Thornton was at Ole Miss for a year. Other than that, dude, these cats are coming from Liberty. Shit, look at the class Josh Aldridge put together. I'd never heard of Josh Aldridge before, and I guarantee you DeMarcus Riddick hadn't ever heard of Josh Aldridge before.
Yeah.
DJ Barber. Who was the other linebacker? Joe Phillips. And so think about Joe Phillips. You flipped him from Georgia the day after he was going to commit to Georgia. Why? Because of Hugh Freeze and NIL. But my point was, Justin, that Chiswick's staff collectively were some of probably the best recruiters I've ever seen at Auburn. but the best head coach, and
Yeah.
Cole will vouch here because he's been preaching it. This dude recruits more than he coaches. Is that fair to say, Cole?
Yeah, and the reason why expectations were maybe a little skewed going into the season was, before he took the job, everybody knew what was coming this season. And by the way, the record you got right now is what you thought was coming.
Yeah.
So you're on par with what you thought. It's just the product is different than what you thought. But
Right.
the reason you thought the product was going to be better because Hugh Freeze came in here and landed 20 transfers and some guys that were offered by other big schools. So you thought, oh man, if he can do that fast, he can turn this program around that fast. Well, it doesn't necessarily work like that.
Yeah, you could feel expectations getting skewed. I could sense it in August. I could sense people starting to build this up beyond what it was going to be. Like, it's, I was always kind of like 7 is probably where they'll land. I thought 8 was best case. But people were thinking like 9, and I don't know. There's just some, and even on the transfers, people were like, on 3 ranking transfer portal rankings, Auburn was really high. The quantity helped out in that. And there was a lot of, just pointing at transfer portal rankings, which are still an exact science. Let's just be real. I'm not like, even on 3s, it's an inexact science portal ranking. So I just think some of that got blown up. And I remember pointing out right before the season started, I'm like, yeah, it looks like these are good players, but dude, pretty much all these guys have never played in the SEC, and that means something. And so I don't know. I think expectations got a tad skewed. And then on top of that, I think the biggest frustration is if you had one quarterback and you were running your stuff, and if you could point to this season and go, it's one quarterback, they're running pace, they're running the stuff, we just don't have the personnel. That would be different than right now. What's frustrating fans, I think, is they don't know what to point to. They're like, well, I think it's personnel, but we're also not running pace, and we're also rotating quarterbacks, and that adds to their frustration. They don't know where to point the finger at, and they don't know what. It's kind of like it was with Bo and like 19 and 20. It was like Bo's scrambling a lot. So like, is it Bo? Is it the offensive line? Is it the receivers? There's so much going on that people didn't know what to point the finger to. And I have a feeling that's kind of where people are at now. They just like, is it the tempo? We need better receivers. I think we need better receivers, but also Peyton. Is it Peyton? Or is it Robbie? Is it? And I think that's adding to the frustration is they don't know where to put the blame. And that's leading people then to go to question Freeze and question his decision-making and question things higher up the ladder, bigger picture type stuff, instead of just going, we need better receivers. There's just so much confusion that it's like people don't know where to be mad at almost with this offense.
I do know this much. A big qualm from Auburn fans over the years is the powers that be, right? Are they all in? Are they doing everything they can to help Auburn out? And I don't think you would be able to get 20 plus transfers and make some of these recruiting wins happen that have happened so far. And I think a few more are to come. Jeffrey, we kind of, we think that could happen if everybody wasn't somewhat aligned, at least. So I do think that there's confidence in what Hugh Freeze is doing right now from Auburn powers that be. I put quotations around that because that kind of sums up everybody in one.
That's where my optimism is.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm whatever you think about what's going on, if you're watching this and for whatever reason you're unsure, we don't have enough data to make any kind of determination on how Hugh Freeze is going to do at Auburn. Not yet. But the alignment up top, the fact that you had a president hire an AD, hire Freeze, and from what I know, without personally knowing every booster, but most of them and the big time guys were fine with Freeze, were cool with Freeze, are aligned with him. That's huge. That hasn't happened in a while, and that's huge. Tack onto that, Freeze knows how to recruit. He knows the importance of it. I think Auburn will be fine. I think those two things are massive. They're massive. And so in that case, now it's just give it time. So it's kind of a differentiation between I'm really pissed at the offense. This is stupid what we're doing. But separate that from I love the alignment and I love the recruiting effort, and we'll be fine big picture. I just think what they're doing now is dumb. Like you just you got to separate those two thoughts and not conflate them.
Yeah. And y'all have to forgive me for the way I have a more of a big picture look at things. I mean, my dad, I've said this before, he took over a 1-19 program, and I watched him have to rebuild it and kick good players off the team and do things that people in the building there at that school were like, what are you doing? What in God's name? How do you think that's going to help you win? And then he ends up winning, going to the playoffs and doing things like that. So I've watched a rebuild. It's different in high school, of course, but I know that you have to go through so much mess to get where you're trying to get. And a lot of people don't understand the whole dynamic of that. That doesn't mean Freeze is going to do it, by the way. We just see some signs, and I see some signs that point to tell me there are some good things going on here, no matter how it looks.
Yeah, I think they'll get there. It just for once, everybody just needs a little patience. Just need a little patience. And I get it. They've been through 2 years of nonsense.
But
yeah. Well, they're coming off the free, and I'll give Freeze credit. He was really self-aware on Monday when he was like, look, I get it. Our fans have endured a bunch the last couple of years. They're frustrated. Now they're going through growing pains with us. I get it. And I thought that was an important thing for him to say, to kind of connect with them. Like, guys, I feel you. Like, I know you're ready to win. We just got here. You've been doing this for a few years now.
It is interesting how the tone of the corner, our message board, after a bad loss and when the offense looks terrible, it's like Sky Underwood called in and said, Jeffrey rears its ugly head, right? That's what the corner does when the games are real bad, but then you get a recruiting win and watch that place blow up with positivity. It's amazing how quickly that – I think Hugh Freeze realizes if I get some more of these recruiting wins, they're going to be on my side no matter what happens this season.
I think I said it on the call-in show last week or the week before. The only thing fans should be passionate about right now is recruiting. The football team is what it is, dude. Don't expect – what do you expect from these people? What do you expect from this team? Go out there, cheer for them hard. Great job, guys. Good effort. Listen, what do you expect them to do? All your passion and stuff right now should be on recruiting. It really should. That's the only thing that matters right now. Yeah, I mean, case in point, we've discussed this too, but Saban had 6 losses. Kirby had 5. Norvell had 9. Mario had 6. Somebody else. Listen, it doesn't matter. The only thing that matters right now, this first-year record doesn't matter. The only thing that matters right now is recruiting and where these guys finish. It really is. That's the only thing people should be caring about. I get it. Everybody loves football, and you have to wait a whole another year before you can actually care about football again. But it's the facts. Don't care about football. I mean, sure, go cheer them on and talk about them, whatever. But the only thing that really matters passionately, that deserves your emotional, the emotions and whether or not you're having a good day or bad day, is recruiting. And that's coming from a recruiting guy, but I'm just watching the football. I'm watching football going, who cares right now? Who cares? Yeah, I'm being critical with the rest of them, but it's not. I'm not letting it affect my life. I'm not going on message boards and calling people out.
You're not going to the playoff this year.
It's not happening. Yeah. Hey, if you win 6 games, that's what your goal should be. What do you get in bowl practice? Do you get 15 bowl practices? Is it 15?
Sounds about right.
That's a lot of practices, dude.
Yeah.
So that's your ceiling as far as I'm concerned. 7 wins. 7 wins now. 7 wins.
Look, going in, I think most odds were probably 5.5. I think that was kind of the number. I saw some 6.5, 5.5 wins.
Okay.
I saw, so 7 wins would exceed most people's expectations for Auburn.
Sure.
So,
by the way, if you were to get a win in that 4-game stretch, Georgia, LSU, Texas A&M, Ole Miss, you'd be ahead of schedule right now.
Right.
Ahead.
Yeah, Ole Miss was
not on schedule, ahead.
Maybe. Yeah. Ole Miss is the one you thought. I thought Ole Miss. I thought actually, all things considered, I was like, this is a game Auburn could win, and they were in it. They were in it.
They were. Or would you rather have a national championship appearance in your head coach's first season and then go right back down?
Oh, downhill. Yeah, downhill from there.
Is that what you want? Or would you rather the coaches stay holed up in their offices and work on football and don't recruit anybody?
Or doing what?
I saw the outcry. You don't want that.
Hey, on that, I mentioned on the board, and I was curious what you guys thought about that. Is McGriff, this McGriff move to chief of accountability and in-house recruiting? Freeze mentioned on Monday that it's been really cool. It's been good to see McGriff doing his thing. And then I talked to somebody on Tuesday that was like, hey, he's not lying. Like, Wesley McGriff's doing some good things already and taking things off a few Freeze's plate. Like, he's calling recruits, he's texting dudes, he's like crushing it. And already within a week, allowing Freeze to take a little bit more time doing offense and game planning stuff already. And it could just end up being this really cool thing. What do you think if that were about the possibility of that? We don't know what's going to happen. The season's got to end. They got to evaluate how that's going to work and what they want to do and all that. But the potential of that sounds pretty cool.
Absolutely. I thought it did as well. I thought of Cole, all the things that he's been saying about how much time Hugh Freeze has been recruiting to have an experienced guy like Wesley McGriff, who knows what needs to be said, who can send text messages and make calls. He relates so well. He is fantastic personality, and I think he's fantastic when you know Auburn. This staff they kind of focus on position. You know, they're position recruiters, whereas more so in the past, Gus and Chiswick and even Tubriel, they had area guys, and then the position coach was almost the secondary recruiter. Now it's completely opposite. Basically, the area recruiter is almost non-existent with this staff. It's all about position. So Wesley McGriff being able to represent Auburn all around the class, all over the board, I think it's fantastic. Justin, I don't know if it was the same post or a different post about him, but it was what happens after the season. He still wants to live in Auburn. I hope that he can find a fit here on the staff, and maybe this is it. And I think that maybe this was a good first sign that maybe that's a possibility. If not, I could see him, staying in Auburn and working at Auburn High School.
What do you think, Cole?
Yeah, definitely. He's I've watched him recruit. I've seen him at Big Cat Weekend and other different things where he's got a great rapport with guys. And no, that's number one. Number two, honestly, you needed somebody in that role. Because the dynamic's weird right now. We all agree on that. Yes, we're telling you to look at the big picture, but we're also agreeing that something's off right now and it needs to be fixed. Two things are true there. I don't think anybody would disagree with that. So having somebody else to take a little bit of that workload from the recruiting trail off of Freeze, while he is still recruiting like he was, don't worry. I think he has some anxiety about how that goes. Maybe now he's more involved in the game plan, and maybe now that is what is needed. I mean, we don't know the intricacies of how much time he spends in the game plan, how much time he spends in recruiting, but we do know that actions speak louder than words. And go look at the bye week. He was on the road the whole time. So what does that tell you? He's spent a lot of time recruiting. So that's a huge role for anybody, but you have a guy now like Wesley McGriff that's going to do it, and that's a really nice fit.
I talked to somebody at a practice on Tuesday that works in the athletic department, and they were like, "Hey, what Freeze said the other day about not really focusing on the game till 30 minutes before the game." He's like, "That's real." He's like, "That's real." He's like, "That's absolutely the truth." He's like, "It is recruiting all the time, and then right before the game, it's game time and the game plan's in." But he's like, that whole day, if it's a home game, he's like, that's the real deal. He wasn't kidding about that.
Yeah,
that's freaking awesome.
The visitor weekends have proved that, have they not?
Mm-hmm.
And the feedback, man. Like if you
Yes.
follow recruiting for long enough, the level of feedback and the things being said, you can tell, and you guys are in front of them, but it comes through in the quotes. You can tell the difference between it was fun, good atmosphere, and like there's some like they're impressive. Like I'm considering them seriously. You can tell the difference in those quotes, and I sense a lot more of that in kids than just like good atmosphere. We'll see how it goes. There's a lot more like no, they're up there. There's like I need to really look at Auburn in a more serious light. You can tell the difference between that stuff.
I think one of the biggest things I've noticed in all this too is what Auburn is capable of from a recruiting standpoint too. And we give a lot of credit to Hugh Freeze, and he deserves it. But Auburn itself really does attract a lot of guys. Ryan Williams is a great example of that. He was a guy that felt like he didn't get the attention, at all from Auburn when Brian Harsin was there. Visited for practice, never got spoken to. Now, Auburn seems to like its chances with flipping him, or at least growing chances, and that it seemed to have almost happened overnight. So Auburn plays a factor into that, but also, like a guy like Jordan Crawford who just committed to Auburn, he don't say nothing hardly. You can't get him to say nothing, but when you talk to him, every time he points something out about the way things are now, he just says it's different, totally different. And then he calls Coach Garrett and says, "Hey, I'm in." And he's like, "You just committed?" He's like, "Yeah." And that's how quick it can happen.
That's
With
awesome.
a place, Auburn's got that ability. Auburn's got some pull in that regard, in my opinion.
It always has had a little bit of a can't always put your finger on it, but it's always
Yeah.
had a little bit of some unique characteristics that set it apart. I think even in the down times, it's just it's a little bit different place. All right, let's do predictions on this Auburn Mississippi State game real quick. Auburn 65-29-2 all time against Mississippi State, 30-8 all time in games played at Auburn. That's kind of the recent, and of course Mississippi State's won 2 in a row. The debacle in 2021, still maybe the worst loss I've ever seen. Auburn was up, I don't know, 28-7, 28-10, and gave up like at least 28 unanswered. I don't know. That game was insane. And then, of course, this was the game last year. That was Carnell's first game. And Auburn stormed back in the second half and scored a touchdown with a minute or 2 minutes. I mean, should have really won, unbelievably. What do we think about this game? Is Auburn due? I feel like Auburn's due, but you still got to go do it. You can't make mistakes.
Yes, Auburn will win Saturday. It'll. I think I'm expecting a pretty decent game from them. To be honest with you, I think it's going to be a pretty all around good game for Auburn. I think they'll cover the spread. I'm looking at maybe 24-13, something like that. Something like that. 27-14. 20s to teens.
What do you think,
I expect some offensive improvement, which may not necessarily mean touchdowns, but I think they can get in field goal range. I don't think we even saw Alex McPherson last week.
Nope.
So I'm going to go – I'll give them 2 touchdowns, which is 14 points. And I'll say the rest is field goals. So I'm going to say 23-17. So 3 field goals would be tacked onto that 2 touchdown.
Yeah. I don't think McPherson. Well, I won't say it. He's been good this year.
Yeah, easy.
Auburn's still doing good in SEC red zone defense. They're still Auburn's forced a turnover in 16 straight games going back to last year. The longest streak in their history is 18. No. It's the longest streak since forcing 18 straight in 2007 and 8. So they're a pretty nice streak of forcing turnovers. I think I don't know if it's just a little bit of wishful thinking that they're due Saturday, but it does feel like this is a game where some things could come together, and it could be a good day in Jordan-Hare Stadium. Like it feels like this team's been through some stuff the last 4 weeks. They've played really good teams. The hope is they come out with the same kind of intensity you would against Georgia. Even though it's state, you come out with that same intensity, same effort. And I think they can put some things together. I do expect them to win. I mean, I think, if you factor in McPherson, let's say 27-17 Auburn. I think they can do it. I mean, Mississippi State's a little hectic on defense, a little chaotic. So Connerlou, big game for him, just communicating. But if he can hold his part down, I think Auburn will find some success. I do think there'll be a little bit more aggressive play calling. I don't know how much, but I would expect there should be something different. A few more shots, maybe a little tempo at times, something just to try to be more aggressive. But I feel good about it. I feel good. It sets up like this should be a good day for Auburn. If it's not, Cole and I talked about this earlier in the week. It's a big game because up until now, you've played teams that you can point to and go talent gap, right? A&M, Georgia, LSU, Ole Miss to a lesser degree, but good. That ain't the case here. So we're about to find out. Is it really talent gap, or if you have another squeaker against Miss State, you're like, okay, there's some other issues. This is a lesser team, so I think it'll help answer some more questions. But I feel good. It sets up like it should be a good day. It really sets up like it should be, for the first time in a while, a good day at Auburn and a nice win. I think a 10-point win. We'll see. 2:30 SEC Network. Should be pretty. Another perfect weather day. And then go on the road. All right. Big recruiting weekend, or is it a little bit died down after Ole Miss? Is it not quite the same?
Not to my knowledge, no. No, it won't be a big one.
Yeah.
There'll be some people there. I just don't think it's going to be a big one. No official visitors that we're aware of. Basketball's got a couple official visitors. Caleb Wilson's coming in. He's a top 5 overall player, 2025, I think. And then Nick Cody from the 2024 class, kid that's going to be announcing a commitment in the next week or two, I believe, is coming in for an official visit. So a little bit bigger for basketball, I think, than football. Now, Keenan Britt's announced that he's coming. He's the 2026 younger brother of KJ. Ryan Montgomery, the 2025 4-star quarterback, is coming in. Jaden Perlotti, the 4-star Georgia commitment from Buford, is a top 50 overall player in 2025. He said he's coming back. He said last weekend he's coming back this weekend. So definitely got to keep an eye on. And there'll be some other guys. You know, the commitments will all be back. But it'll probably be a kind of a game time decision for most of these guys. Cole and I will be there before the game and get that thread going on Auburn Live on 3.
Yep.
All right. Make sure you're there, auburnlive.com. Check out football and recruiting coverage as always. Of course, basketball getting rolling as well. Go to the YouTube page, subscribe, hit the notification button for all the shows that are going up, recruiting shows and call-in shows and our weekly football shows and all that good stuff. And we'll catch you guys next week. Hopefully you get down to Auburn, enjoy a nice day. Hopefully Auburn wins the game, and we got some more positive things to talk about next time we're all together. For Cole, Jeffrey, I'm Justin. We'll see you next time. Bye.